Greetings. This is Psychically Yours. Here with a year ahead reading. This is kind of an example of a reading you could get for yourself, but it's really more like year ahead for the collective, for all of us, for anybody watching, anybody who needs to hear it, that kind of thing, how a collective reading usually goes. So this is the energies that are surround us, within us, in community and as a collective. So without getting into that any further, 2026, I've seen some posted. I made another post. A lot of people, including US Games, I've seen US Games, are like, hey, it's a magician year. Because and US Games is going through the traditional numerology. So numerology is only 1 through 9. But as other practitioners have done, not just me, I've learned from others, that when you're using numerology with tarot, sometimes we like to include the whole of the major arcana, not the whole of the deck, but the majors. And so technically, before it turns into a 1, it's a 10. Okay, and 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. So to me, I see it as a Wheel of Fortune year. But if you've ever read Mary Kay Greer's Tarot Constellations, and she has year cards in there, but she also has your birth card. And in that, you have a shadow card. And this isn't something she's done with the year card, but for me, I think maybe the magician is kind of like a shadow card, something that's kind of hiding behind the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune, it has fortune in the name. Wheel of Fortune comes from kind of older ideas of fate, where you're kind of locked into fate, and no matter what you do, this is what what path you're on, which is not what we believe, right? You believe in free will, and you have the power to change your life. So the Wheel of Fortune comes on more of a cyclical nature. So it's more about the cycles and how things are up and down, right? With the magician, I really kind of had this flash of, if we see it as a shadow card to this Wheel of Fortune, we have fortune and luck coming to us. Whether that's good or bad depends on the seeds you planted with the magician a long time ago. Could it have been 10 years ago? Yeah, maybe not quite that precise and well-rounded, but whatever you put out there, what energy, because you put energy out there, whether you are conscious of it or not, you are putting energy out there. And so this is a time of endings and new beginnings, new year, of course, according to the calendar, but in a numerological sense, that's dictating our lives. It's a new beginning and it's an ending. So that's what the 1 is. That's what a 10 is. To 10 is just like the next cycle. And this is a card about cycles as well. It all is very cyclical, right? So it goes in cycles. So when I do a year ahead reading, I personally found out my year card. I actually calculated 2 different ways and got 2 different year cards this year. I usually go by Mary Kay Greer's Tarot Constellations. That's how I figure it out. But Matt Oren has put out a book, The Psychic Art of Tarot, which is a fabulous book. And I've seen recently him talking about coming out with a second one. I'm excited. Anyway, I should make a whole nother video about that. But that book is awesome. And in it, he describes a different way of figuring out your year card. And so I got 2 different year cards, and they really kind of mash up well. I really like them. So that's how I did my year ahead. We could do it that way, or we can pick one or the other for you if you want to. I have a worksheet, and it has the classic way of figuring out your year ahead, according to Mary Kay Greer, and also to Vicki Noble with the Mother Piece. She's co-creator of the Mother Piece. She does it the same way. So that's the classic way. I have a little worksheet on my page, on my Instagram, that you can download and do yourself. Or I could do it for you and give you some of my interpretation of what to expect in the next year, the kind of energy you're personally dealing with this year. But on a whole, we have a year of luck, which means, to me, this means to have a little hope, especially maybe in the social justice era. If you have planted any seeds for that, hopefully fate is on our side, okay? We have to remember everybody's fate is on the line this year. So without further ado, let's get into the year ahead. So the year ahead, the bulk of the reading is the next 12 months. And I do this as well on a birthday. So this is similar to a birthday reading, but they might have some other supporting cards. But it's the same idea of just pulling a card for each month. That's what I did for myself. It was a really great reading and has me really motivated this year. So today I am using the Witches Tarot. This is a great deck, and it's mass produced and very accessible. If you like it, it is, you know, a mass produced cheap deck. But at any rate, it is a very powerful deck. So we're going to use this to see, on the whole, what energies we're looking at throughout the year. Now, when I do a reading like this, like a year ahead, either on the New Year's or on your birthday, and keep in mind, if you don't want to get a reading right now, but maybe you want to get something like this closer to your birthday, that would be a good idea. That's your personal year. Anyway, I digress. When we do readings like this, when we do any tarot reading, the further you go out, the less, I'd hate to say concrete, but the less formed your path is. The easier it is to change the very far future, unless something is really set. You know what I mean? Your future is not set in stone. That's why I said I hate to say concrete, because none of your future is really concrete. Some are more formed than others, but when you're talking about 12 months from now, that is very likely to change, or more likely to change than the next month. You know what I'm saying? So the further you get out, the less formed it is. This is the path we're on right now, but things can change. So I also like to say that this is like a future prediction type reading, which you absolutely can do with tarot. But keep in mind, this isn't to be that old school idea of what's my fate, because what's even the point of getting a tarot reading if you're just going to end up where you're going to end up no matter what? This is kind of like reading ahead and getting spoilers. So we're not getting spoilers here. We're looking at the path and deciding whether if we want to stay on this path or if we want to do something different. And so we begin. Okay, so January. And the reveal, ooh, it looks like, yeah, the Seven of Cups. I like how this, like, wizard looking, I guess witch, because this is a witch's tarot. There's going to be pointy hats all throughout. But this wizard looking guy holding his hand out, almost grasping. So with this one, I want to say first off, the beginning of the year is a time to daydream, a time to think about what you want to do, not necessarily take action. Usually the cliche thing to do is make a resolution and start going to the gym, and then you're going to give up it by the end of the month. So maybe instead, write a plan. Figure out, what do you really want? Choose a path, that kind of thing. You don't want to stay in that liminal space. But it is a good place to start, is to really get down to what do you really want. I find this card a lot of times comes up when you need to daydream a little bit. You don't want to be stuck in the daydream. You never want to take that first step, you know, and never manifest if you never take that first step. You can't stay here in the dream world, in the daydreams. You got to take action. But this one, is one that is necessary. You need a plan. If you just go to the gym and get a gym membership and then, you know, you didn't make a plan. I need to go every Friday. If you didn't make a plan, like, oh, I got to pick a day and this is how I'm going to accomplish this. You know, don't just say I'm going to get fit. Say, I'm going to make this plan. And it's better to plan it out so you have something to follow to execute than just start, you know, doing it and then losing motivation and quitting. So that's January. February, oh, okay, we have the rainbow. That's the Ten of Cups. We have another Cups. So far, we have 2 water cards. We are in our feels this year. I feel like the beginning of this year is a lot of feels. So with February, we go into the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is very idealistic, you know, your family. What is your ideal family? And I think this is a card telling us as a collective to recognize where you want to be. Because going with the Seven of Cups, like I said, you want to daydream and plan, and what do you really want? And the Ten of Cups is here telling you, to recognize this, to appreciate this, to deeply feel, right? If you haven't felt it enough in the first month, you need to feel more into the second month, which is also the month of Valentine's Day. That's something that popped in my head as well when I saw this very good card for that time of year. And romance, but it could be like bromance, it could be friendships, it could be whatever fulfills you and makes you feel like, again, a 10, this like our year is a 10, this completion in your life. So next would be March. I was felt like I was saying the wrong month. Next is March, and here in this deck is Karma. You can see the two X's. This is 20, so traditionally that's Judgment. They changed it to Karma because Judgment is one of those very Christian symbology in that, right? And very much, Judgment Day type thing. It's Judgment Day was what I tell a lot of people. Judgment is like Judgment Day. They changed it to Karma, and they're in the circle, and it's again another cyclical. We're on a cycle type thing. It's what you've put out coming back to you, which we talked about in the beginning. So already in March, we see some of this coming back. What we've put out, what we deserve coming to us, which again is not necessarily good or bad. It could be seen either way, but it's not an indication of which. It depends on your personal path. So next is April. In April, we have the Four of Swords. I like how she's in half shadow. This card comes about a lot of times when we need some rest. And again, it's a similar kind of energy as that Seven of Cups. I'm feeling very much like, same kind of idea of not rushing out and doing anything, not really necessarily acting on anything you want to do. It's not about just going out there and getting it. It's about sitting back. So the Four of Swords is not just like physical rest, but mental rest. We can't develop a plan. We can't do this without time to let our mind wander, like the Seven of Cups. You're kind of letting yourself sit back and have some time to do nothing, so ideas can come about. That's what the Four of Swords is at. So April is also kind of a new year time, because that is spring, and a lot of our ancestors felt that was more of a new year, which makes sense. When everything's coming back alive, that's the new time, right? So again, it's another time to sit back and not necessarily do, but allow yourself to slow down so things can come to you. Otherwise, they're not going to come to you. If you're too busy thinking about your to-do list, if you're too busy rushing around, your mind doesn't have the opportunity to receive. So it's another time to sit back and receive. You had some fruition here. You've had things come back to you. So now it's time to kind of sit back and relax a little bit so your brain can come up with things. So next is May, and we have the Ace of Wands. Lovely. When I brought out my deck right here, Pagan Otherworlds, that's what I'm working with this month, starting this new year. I'm working with that because that's kind of my soul deck, I guess. I got that deck because I had a dream about it. And I felt like that's a sign I should get it. So, anyway, when I got it out, the card that was on top was the Ace of Wands. I thought that's so fitting. Start the year. By the way, today on January 1st, the very first card I pulled for the day at my daily card was a Fool. So that's so fitting. It is not a 1, but it is a 0. It is the beginning. It is the egg, and that is very serendipitous. So anyway, we have this Ace. So May. So May, I look at this butterfly and I see the transformation. It's coming out. Transformation is definitely something that is happening collectively in May. Transformation and new beginnings, of course. I feel because this is a 1, 10, 1, 0 year, that this is definitely a year for new beginnings, right? That's what you get with the 1. That's what you get with the Fool. That's what you get with the 10 is a fruition and new beginning, right? So there's a lot of this energy in here. So that is what is available to all of us. So we're on May, March, April, May, June. Very big month. We have the Two of Pentacles. And I feel this so hard every June, especially since I am part of this queer community. In the queer community, June is Pride Month. Everybody is super busy. And the Two of Pentacles is about to juggling all of this. So I feel like, especially in the summer, in the height of the year, right? Coming into the climax of the year, we are probably pretty heavy with responsibility, with things we want to do, with everything coming to us. We're probably going to be busy. In July, the other big time of the year, the biggest part of summer, we have this King of Cups. So we go back into the cups. And after we juggle all our tasks and probably just keep our heads above water, we end up with a King of Cups. He's definitely the one to help you stay out of water, keep your head above water, right? He is like the rock in the storm. The King of Cups is really telling us, after a lot of work on a physical level, we probably need to work through our emotions. We probably need to take some time to ourselves. We need to have our feels again, like we did in the beginning with the Seven of Cups. Probably reassess at this time what we really feel, what we really want. Where do we want to go from here in this second downside of the year? And then in August, we have another ace. Like I said, we're going to get a bunch of aces and tens in this reading, I'm sure, because this is a 1-10 year. So another ace, but this is the Ace of Pentacles. So before I was talking about transformation, because this Wands is fire. Fire is transformation, it's spiritual, it's also very fast moving. This is a little slower. This is planting more seeds. When we come to fruition, the beginning is the end is the beginning. So once you harvest, you plant more seeds. There are some things, when you harvest it, you go ahead and plant it right then before the winter. Some things sit there in the dark. So before we go to the dark times, we need to plant those seeds at the end of summer. Now, in September, when we're going into fall, we have the Eight of Cups. This is a very emotional year. We have gotten so far 1, 2, 3, 4 cups. So this would be a very emotional year, right? We have a third of the year being cups so far. So in this time, we've planted our seeds. So your next step would to discard anything you don't need, that's holding you back, that's gonna not help make you your best self, I guess. Yeah, it's a card of throwing away things that do not serve you, right? So in this time, it is a time of discard, which is what the fall is. Now, going deeper in the fall, September, October. Now this is the climax of fall. And we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I just said how we had so many cups in this reading. We also have quite a few pentacles showing up now. So we have 1, 2, this is our third pentacle. We had 2, the Ace, and now the Queen. And I love it as the October. So I feel like this October is one of prosperity. The Queen of Pentacles is a bit like the Two of Pentacles, but in a different way, because it's about balance and it's something you have to learn. So with prosperity, you have the choice of giving or being greedy. So this is kind of where this Queen of Pentacles is a bit of a balance. What are you doing with your prosperity? What are you doing with all this that is coming to you? What are you happening to all these things that you have harvested this year? Are you using it to make everyone else comfortable as well? Or are you hoarding it for yourself? So this is a question we need to ask in October. And then in November, as we go and descend into wintertime, we have another cup. It's the Six of Cups. And this is a This is a card of reflection. The Six of Cups is looking back. So before we even head in December, in November, we are already wanting to reflect, look back, and so forth. Lastly, in December, I don't want to make this video too long, we have another cup. I told you this is the Knight of Cups, by the way. This is such an emotional year. I have to say, I love to look back at a reading once I get the cards laid out and really see it all together. It makes the whole tapestry. It's like when you go card by card, you get a lot of information, but when you look back, you see the big picture. So, all together, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half of the year, which is pretty significant, is cups. We are going to be in our fields. And remember, when you're in your fields, everybody else is in their fields. We are a collective. I like doing these collective readings because people are more connected than we realize. We're very big on individuality and thinking we are these monoliths, but we are not. We are all connected whether you like it or not, and we are connected on a spiritual and mental plane that we don't recognize. Like I said earlier, you are sending out energy whether you realize it or not, whether you feel like you can or if you are consciously doing it or not. You are sending out energy. You just might not be conscious of it, and a lot of people aren't. They are not conscious of the energy they're putting out, and people are not conscious of how we're all connected. But I have seen it so much that we are connected on this level, and we just don't, most of us don't recognize it because we've lost that knowledge. So we end the year with the Knight of Cups, and I feel like after all of this being in our fields, we're starting the year in the fields, in the middle of the year again in our fields, and this all throughout the year being in the fields. This has to show you some direction. So next year, 2027, is going to be a 2-year. It's also going to be an 11-year. That's right. It's going to be 1 + 1 equaling 2. So it's going to be a 2 and an 11. And so I really feel like at the end of next year, just like we are now, this year I felt like it was a very reflective December into January. A lot of people I see talking about, I need to learn rest. I myself have to learn how to rest and been working on that. This end of this 2026 is going to be reflective, but I feel like it's going to be motivation. This Knight of Cups, he's a mover, right? And I feel like all these feels should motivate us. Hopefully in a positive, constructive manner, but it might not be. So, I feel like at the end of this next year, it's going to direct us towards action. This year is more about just being in your fields, taking in what comes to you. This is a year of luck, good or bad. This is a year of getting what you've put out and so forth. So that's going to lead into a year of, the next year of action. I feel it personally. So personally, according to Mary Kay Greer, her method, this is a devil year for me, okay? And I looked ahead. Now, you would think they always go in succession, right? You go from 1 to 22. By the way, in that method of using all the majors, the full is 22 because you can't get 0. So you think you go 1 through 22 and start over, but you don't. You start over at different cards. It's a different cycle. And that's an interesting thing to do too, is look over several years of your year cards. But I digress. So I looked ahead. I'm like, so does that mean next year is a tower year? Because the tower's next after the devil, and it's not. My next year is a chariot year, and that really is kind of like changed the energy of my devil year. This devil year is a task for me. Hopefully I get some good luck in there from the Wheel of Fortune. But it's a task for me. And I feel at the end of it, if I complete this well, I can use this to really manifest, to really succeed in the next year. This year is probably not going to be a very successful year other than surviving and breaking chains, okay? That is my task for this year, is breaking the chains, seeing the chains first, and then breaking them. And my next year's a chariot year, so with determination, I could be successful, yay. And it really kind of uplifted me a bit. I think I was a little scared of, oh, next year's a tower year, great. This is just getting better and better. But no, it's not. I go from the devil to the chariot. Interesting. So, what I did for my personal year ahead reading was I pulled 2 oracle cards. So this is Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. I like this oracle. It's very empowering. And it kind of goes along with the witchy theme of the Witch's Tarot. So in my year ahead reading, I pulled 2 cards. One was advice for self-care, or a card to show how I can care for myself in the year ahead. And the other one was how I could care for my community. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing. Like I said, it's a collective. So the first card is going to be how we all can care for ourselves in this year ahead. Which we have here is raindrops, take a chance on them, is what it says. So I think I've shared this before on Instagram with the song Raindrops Keep Dropping on My Head, right? That whole song, it comes up again. I think just because every time I see this card, that song comes up. But anyway, this, like it says, second chance. And I think really as far as self-care, that's going to be more like a second chance on yourself. Give yourself a second chance, right? Give that hobby you discarded a second chance. Honestly, this really rings for me because as soon as I said that, I'm like, oh yeah. So there's a lot of things I wanted to do this last year that I put on the back burner and never got to. And I'm like, I want to go back into this. And this is after meditating. This is time connecting with myself, going, hey, those ideas you had at the beginning of last year, you should probably work on those. And part of that is going to deal with my devil year of not getting into vices or kind of learning not to fuck around and actually, stay focused and do these things I want to do. Because honestly, by the end of the year, in my reflection, I feel, man, I want to do these things. But I always let life get in the way, the regular shit. So, giving it a second chance. Okay, so for community, what as a collective we all need to do for each other? It's like a community self-care. We have garden. Something lovely will grow from this. And this is again this idea of planting seeds, right? You see her, she is holding like this flower. There's this aura around it. She got the dirt in her hands and this flower growing out of her hands. I really feel like this this is really nurturing. It says planting seeds in others. So the seeds that we're planting this year, um, might just be in others. It might just be that inspiring thing you need to say. You need to inspire others. You need to be there to allow seeds to grow, right? It says something lovely will grow from this. And we have to also see that we are doing major things by just saying some comforting words or saying something inspiring or saying just what comes out. I know I'm one of those people. That's why I'm a tarot reader. Where I just start talking and stuff comes out and people are like, wow, that's what I needed to hear. And I'm just talking, okay? I'm just being a vessel. Right now, I am just the charioteer with my armor on, allowing this stuff to just flow. And as a collective reading, it's not going to hit every point for everybody, but there's going to be so much there that a lot of people need to hear. And we're all, like I said, connected on a mental and spiritual way. There is this invisible network between us, just like ants communicate with hormones and pheromones. We have this connection that we don't recognize and a lot of times don't notice. But I've definitely have noticed it. That's why I do collective readings. And so this is for all of us. And I would love to hear if it resonated, if you think I'm full of shit or whatever, in the comments, of course. Go ahead and tell me what you think or what specifically hit for you. And also remember that tarot readings are not an instant thing. A lot of things that come up in a reading don't make sense till later a lot of times, or they make more sense later. It's like, oh, this is what this really means. Sometimes you have to go out and experience for it to resonate really fully. So take this with you, keep what resonates, discard the rest. Blessed be.